Hello. Um, just a look at what I've been doing. I tried changing all of the tiles into being cubes that I can sort of just hide sides that I don't want to use, add a little door thing. But I have gone backwards. You can go through objects again. And the reason for that is because I'm not going to do it the way where there's some kind of collider and that means you can or can't move through it. Because where is the map? Let's see. So we look at this door thing that I made. There is a box collider on it. And I was thinking I could make a layer that just says door or something like that. And anytime there's a door, the code can check for some kind of door component. Say, is this locked? Is it unlocked? Anything like that. But then I thought that's quite limiting. If I want to build these maps entirely through some kind of JSON or something like that, then I don't want to hard code any of these layers. And I'm not sure if you can just do it via code later on. Maybe you can. But then I think there's a limit. Yeah, there's seems like there's a limit to the number of layers. So what I was thinking was that that could just be something else that's part of the Lua code. Um, Anytime you try and move from whatever this tile is into whatever this tile is, that's the point at which I will check if there's a connection between the two, whether that's a door or a blocker or nothing, and it would just allow you to move through it. So that's the theory. But yeah, I've got inside kind of working, how they look different. Nothing special. I just had to make cubes instead of just single planes or quads, so you can see how the whole thing is built now. And the reason I did it that way is because of the lighting. There's really dodgy artifacting when the light shines through gaps in the planes. This seems to just get rid of it doing it this way. See you see the shadow. It goes right to the ground, and there's nothing popping through the bottom of it. I also made these windows bigger because I thought it kind of needs it. It it maybe won't look bad when it's full screen, but I thought this is probably better. People want to see the world that they're running around in, even if it's going to be limited in whatever the view is, like this or like the map. But it also means you get a bigger context view, whatever goes in here. And I'm thinking maybe some kind of general log in the bottom right, just saying you picked up 100 coins, you spoke with NPC 1, whatever here, maybe you equipped a weapon. And then in this middle part, have the main window, which will be context sensitive. If you're in a conversation, it will be a conversation window. If you're just walking around, maybe it'll pop up like a little info window. Just anytime you move to a square that's interesting, it might pop up a little message saying, oh, you feel a draft or whatever it is, or you overhear people talking. And then a little bit at the bottom will be some kind of view for your party members and maybe buttons to open up menus, inventory and things like that. So that's the plan. That's what's coming together. And since that's fresh in my head, maybe I should just get plotting some of that out. Um, is that all in the map manager, the UI stuff? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so UI overlay, maybe I can use this. I took out the old picture, obviously, since the layout changed. say party panel or something like that. Maybe it's that one. So what is this? 1920 minus, I think it was 540 and 540. Seems like it. And yeah, I don't know how big this should be right now. 300. We'll just copy that. Log window. So at the moment I'm thinking vertical layout. Stretch it on the width. This will be horizontal. Guess we would maybe want to stretch on the height for this one. How should it look? What's more important? Maybe just numbers. I think for me, I like to see the numbers rather than some kind of health bar or something. So I guess this would be vertical as well. I don't know why the width is doing that. Flexible width will say no. So here can be buttons. That seems quite big though, I guess. Maybe something like that's better. 240. So I said preferred height 32 and that returns 104. Alright, this is going to be horizontal as well. This is just boring UI stuff at the moment. I should probably cut a lot of this out. All of these will be right aligned in the middle. Okay, seems decent. If this is 3, let me just bring it down a little bit. I'm sure that's enough now. Now, I haven't thought whatsoever about how to make the UI moddable. Because really, if you add something like the hot and cold module that I keep making reference to, maybe you'd want some kind of tracker on the UI that says how hot each character is. You know what, maybe not. Maybe the better course of action there would be the system that you add that says if they're getting too hot or too cold. That would just give them a little status effect that says too hot or too cold. So maybe this is fine. Yeah, we probably need some way of tracking status effects, but you know what, for now I'll just get some of this prefabbed up. No way. Did that just fit perfectly? No way. Okay, that was a miracle. So there's 6 people. The usual size of a party for this kind of thing. Maybe I'd want to change that to allow to have arrows in the side here if people wanted to make games with more. But you know what, this is fine. So this is what the game is gonna look like. Something in the middle now. Let's get that added in. Just call it main window. Something, I can't remember how tall this window is. Maybe something like that. 240. Yep. So should this just be one massive scroll window that slowly deletes items at the top? And then the conversation, instead of bringing up a new window, it can just open up here, like a little option. Horizontal, nope. Okay, there's nothing in it. So the type of window we're building here, we want things to be added to the bottom and for the new things to be hidden at the top. So let's start adding in some kind of window content. Okay. So we probably want to expand that on the width. Okay. So how do we get it to start at the bottom? Let's see. we start adding content. All right, maybe that was as easy as that. So it's a bit jarring at the moment. Let's go that way. How are we going to make this better to look at without yeah, just in general, how are we going to make this better to look at if this is just pages and pages of content? Let's see. All right, let's just grab some face sets or face pictures. Yeah. Oh, I guess we need 6. So another one. Here's another one. Right, so the maximum, let's make that a bit smaller. Yep, this will need a lot more work, but it's getting there, I guess. Yeah, I'll need to start working on how a map data is stored. That's a terrible sentence. How the map data is stored. Yeah, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I need to test this. I changed some of this. I changed one of the metadata items. Mhm. Okay, let's make this a bit bigger. So I was thinking of adding in each of the files we want to add per module into some kind of array, but I don't know if you can do this, so I just need to test and see if this works. And the reasoning for this is it's a bit unreliable if you just look for every file that ends with .lua, because then code will run in whatever way it wants alphabetically. So components will run, then entity heroes, then materials, then weapons. But if I go and make armor, entities armor, that will run before materials. And of course, we want to assign materials to our armor. So let's see. Oh yeah, I didn't actually do anything. I need to say debug.log what is metadata files. See if it actually does anything. Files, maybe that's just for the new one. It might be line by line basis, so yeah, there we go. because this will be quite horrible if it's just that, and then we have to put all of the files onto the same line, and then we can split it by comma. Yeah, maybe I just go with it like that for now. So instead of grabbing all the files, I will just say split the files. Da, 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 da. And then we try and read all the text from that plus .lua. Invalid cars. Place that with that. Couldn't find the space materials. Oh yeah, we changed it, that's why. The base entities, heroes, base entities, weapons. Okay, so it's claiming to have loaded those, and it's just got a problem because there's no files in hot and cold. Alright, so yeah, loaded materials before it did heroes. So it looks like it works, but it's a bit fiddly. This is a really gross way of doing it. I might just be cheeky and ask AI if there's a quicker way of doing that. Well, AI said something about joining strings as you read them. I didn't like the sound of that idea, but that did give me an idea for the way I chose to do it, which is just create a line that says file for any file you want to load, and then when you're building out the metadata, yeah, just set up a string for files, and anytime it finds files, I should probably continue after this. Yeah, anytime it finds file as a key, then you just add the value to the file's metadata instead of making its own entry there. And then that gives you the concatenated string like we had before, but without having to type out ourselves. So there we go. It's got them in order, and then it breaks it down into an array, and then it loads each of them in order, in the correct order. So now I just need to add in some safety checks, make sure if it doesn't exist, don't just break. Mhm. Oh yeah, so instead of reading all here, we need to check if the file exists. So file path is going to equal this whole thing. And then we'll check if the file path exists. But we'll just say if it doesn't exist, then we'll continue. Move on to the next one. Right, so now we don't have any errors. It's loading them in the correct order, going against alphabetical, which looks good. What is this though? Is that because I have no files now? Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. So this hot and cold isn't really a module. I was just setting that up as an example to check that that it loads all the modules in the folder. But I guess it wouldn't hurt just to add in a couple of files. So this would be hot and cold components, and that's it. So hopefully it works, and then that's confirmation that it looks good. Right, loading hot and cold, loaded components, which is, yeah, that's right, because we cut off the module name and just type out the actual part that we loaded. Okay, so maybe I just cut the video there. Been a little bit of a weird one again, just doing some UI reshuffling to get an idea of how the game's going to look. The big window in the middle still kind of looks awful, so I might need to try and get some real content in there. Maybe some messages, some face boxes for conversations and stuff, just to see if it's going to look alright or if it's going to need a big overhaul. Alright, thanks for watching.